What's going on? So this video is a little delayed by about almost 10 days. I told you guys I was going to do a spring seed garlic video. Got a whole handful here. So we're going to go into what we're doing, why we're doing it, and the process. So, like a lot of you guys know, I was living on the homestead last year and I had to leave there this springtime. I have about 200 heads of garlic, or cloves of garlic, growing in the ground at the secret garden where we planted all that stuff last year. Well, it's still out there. So I've got 1,600 square feet of garden I'm planting in this year, and I don't have any garlic in the ground there, obviously, right? So what I did is I went out and I bought $40 worth of purple glazer garlic. That's what $40 worth of garlic looks like. I've already pulled them apart into individual cloves. You're going to need a couple of things. You guys still have time to do this. So just so for clarification, okay, we're going to do a process. We're going to do spring garlic. It needs to be hardneck garlic, okay? And it's going to go through a process called vernification. It's not stratification. Stratification and vernification are two different things. Stratification is where you put seeds in a moist, cool environment, not below freezing, for a period of time, and that tells the seeds, when they come out of that stratification process, that tells the seeds we've gotten cold, now we're warming up, now it's time to germinate, right? Vernification is very similar, except we're going to be using my fridge freezer right there. We're going to be using some Ziploc bags, and we're going to be using bags of soil. So essentially what the process is you get your hardneck garlic, you pull them apart into your individual cloves, you get your Ziploc bags, you get your topsoil, which I've got outside. I went to the grocery store and I bought the cheapest bag of crappy topsoil I could find, because the quality of the topsoil doesn't matter. It's literally just the medium that you're going to put the garlic cloves into to do your vernification process. Okay, so I'm gonna move the tripod down onto the ground. I'm gonna angle the camera down on top of my workstation right here in front of me, and I'll show you the process. Okay. All right, here we go. Got to pull up my chair. Good old 5-gallon bucket. Cool. So I'm gonna take half of the garlic, and I'm going to load it into the bags here. Handful for you, handful for you. Maybe this way better. Now, because you have to put this in your freezer, I would highly suggest that you let your better half know that you're going to be putting bags of soil in their freezer. They may not appreciate it too much, depending on the kind of partner you have, but since it's just me here, I can do whatever the hell I want to in my freezer. So this is all we're going to do here. I'm going to take that, make sure we got them all. Empty. Now essentially all you need to do, I'm going to zip these up. I'm going to zip it up just like that. There. And I've left some air in the bag. So we're just going to shake them around, and we're going to get all that garlic just kind of mixed up in the soil here. You're not going to worry about it germinating because it's going right into the freezer, right? So what you're doing is you're simulating what happens when you plant garlic in the fall, because I'm in Ontario. So what we do up here, as most places will, you plant your garlic in November in the ground before the last frost, about 3 weeks before the last frost. And what happens is it starts to sprout roots, right? And then it goes dormant over the winter time. As soon as the ground starts to defrost and it's workable, all these garlics start to grow, right? So that's how you go through your vernification process, because it's in the ground all winter long, right? And I mean, up here we get 4 feet of snow, and sometimes it's minus 30 to minus 40 Celsius for weeks at a time. So that ground is as hard as concrete. So we're essentially simulating that entire process by taking these bags, and we're going to put it in the freezer. And like I said, it's April 12th. Our last average frost date up here is mid-May. So we plant out our garden for most things, except for your cool weather crops, go in the ground the long weekend of May, which is nice because it gives you a whole weekend to plant your garden. And I'm going to need that whole weekend because there's going to be a ridiculous amount of stuff going in the ground. So essentially that's all we're doing here. We're putting the cloves of garlic in the soil, which is moist. We're going to take these bags, going to go in the freezer. They'll spend, give or take, 3 weeks to a month in my freezer. And if I can get into the garden plot that I have early enough, I'll pull these out because they can go into the ground a bit early. But I don't know what I'm walking into at that garden plot. I'm hoping it's going to be tilled for me. If not, I'll have to till it up myself. But I still have to make beds and that whole process, right? It's going to be market garden style, 30-inch beds. So the sooner you can get this stuff in the ground, obviously, the better. But it still needs to go through that vernification process, because what happens, let's say I just took these and I planted them in the soil right now as it sits. And we don't get some really cold nights here anymore. Let's say we don't have anything that goes below freezing, where it really puts these things through their paces for what they need to. This garlic will not grow a full clove of garlic. The genetics in it are not going to know that it's time to start dividing the cloves and the bulbs and turn them into a fully divided, clove of garlic with your 8 or 10 or whatever bits of garlic on it. So that's why your garlic needs to go through this process. If it doesn't go through that vernification process, the genetics are not going to know that it's time to really start going full bore and actually growing a clove of garlic like it is supposed to. So that's essentially all we're doing. We're mimicking what winter and nature does for these bits of garlic here. So let's see if I can do this without blowing the bag all apart and making a massive mess. So there we go. They're all just kind of buried all up in the garlic, or the soil. So what I'll do is, before this goes in the freezer, I'll push these last couple of ones down in. I'm going to do the same here. Oh, see, they're just sitting on top. I'll do the same here. And when these come out of the freezer and it's time to plant, I'll do an update video on this and I'll show you guys how to plant garlic. It's super simple. It's easy peasy. You need a tool though. I'm sure most of you people have one. There's your tool, right? All right, so I'm gonna get to going, get these in the freezer. I really wanted to do this 10 days ago. As you can see, oh, you can't see it on this one. There you go, see? I actually labeled the date on the bag on April 2nd, and I just wrote in the 1 today. So I was actually gonna do this video on the 2nd, but moving and stuff gets in the way. So anyhow, this is how you prepare your hardneck garlic for spring planting And it may take a little longer for these to be ready this summertime because, you know, in Ottawa here, people already have garlic coming up out of the ground. So they already have a jump start on the process. I don't have that going. So instead of harvesting it in July, maybe it takes a little while longer. I'm okay with that because once the garlic comes out of the ground, I'm going to succession plant other plants where the garlic was growing either way. So by, let's say it happens in August, that's okay because then I will just plant a whole lot of cool weather crops in the same spot where the garlic was. I'll just re-prepare the ground, re-amend the soil, yada yada, and away we go. Bob's your uncle. So that's it. Garlic vernification for spring planting garlic. If you have any questions, shoot them down there in the comments section. If you guys like what you see, subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you guys can follow along. We're going to be doing all kinds of crazy stuff this summertime. And I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that people watching my channel get the right information they need so they can grow the most amount of food for their families. Guys, get your gardens planted. Even if you have to put stuff in pots, raised beds, put boxes on your fences, I don't care. Get food growing now. All right? I love y'all. Have a good one. Green thumb out. Peace!